Right. On to the next town. It shouldn't be too far away, not this early on. Bit embarrassing that some of our characters can't manage to physically take out a goblin in a single hit now that we've given them character classes. But then, it's not like I generally expect a white mage to do much in the way of damage anyway. Their entire gimmick is to be the healer. If they're the ones taking heads, then either the enemy is absurdly weak or something else is weird going on. Huh. So the town immediately after the one we started off in is cursed. I suppose that explains the odd mist, then. Okay, so we're completely incapable of buying anything in this town at all. Everyone is just a see-through outline. Everyone who's a ghost in a store is just gonna repeat the same thing and not let us buy or sell anything. Bit annoying, and I hope not everyone in the town repeats that exact line, but I suppose we won't know until we check. Okay, so the free pool we can drink from here allows us to revive people, but it's not going to do anything else in terms of healing? I guess that's a decent enough reason to visit the inn in this town, but why do that when the other town is so close to this one, and when we can just go back to that starting dungeon with that overly convenient pool? Anyway, this is apparently the fault of an evil genie for some reason, and we have no clue why he didn't bother to touch the town that the heroes were born and raised in. Anyway, seems that Mithril is going to be critically important to the story here. That's quite a switch. Usually it's just kind of a material that mid-game weapons are made of. We've also apparently met this game's Cid pretty early on, so that's something. Wait, what? We are honestly gaining an airship in the absolute third clip of the game? I wasn't really expecting much from the game's overall story, but good God, that feels like a major advancement this damn early on. Especially considering how airships worked in both Final Fantasy 1 and 4. They opened the game up significantly. There is just no way they're actually going to open things up to such a degree this early on in this game. There's gotta be a catch of some kind. This building seems to have something to do with weapons, but there's nobody to talk to in it. Not even a ghost. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything more here, at least for now. Time to find that airship in the only bloody desert in this region of the world. As parking spaces go, I suppose that's easy enough to remember. Doesn't seem like there's any kind of crew on board, so Okay, despite our altitude, we can't actually fly over the mountains or that inconvenient rock. Though we can fly over the one lake that happens to be here. Probably one of the worst airships I've ever seen, and it could have easily been replaced with a kayak. Ah, well, we're still early in the game, so take what you can get and all that. Right, so our first quest is to find a ring. Bit of a shame that our characters can't all be wearing black cloaks. It would be a bit funny to be a more heroic version of Nazgul. Okay, so we've got some chests in this tower for some reason, but the tower itself doesn't seem to have much in it. We've also got some random encounters in here for some reason. A bit interesting that this early in the game we can be surprised by some of the areas where we run into enemies. It also feels like we went from goblins to more terrifying beasts pretty damn quickly. Seriously, while those dark eyes are not what I'd call out of our league, they're still a bit concerning considering everything else we've fought so far. Well, the other stats seem to rise when we level up when playing as another class. That's certainly interesting. And we've got some kind of surprise boss fight thing in a chest. Definitely didn't see that one coming. Oh, son of a bitch. Carmine was taken out in a single shot? I definitely have bitten off more than I should have chewed. It's the third damn clip. How the hell did we end up walking into a grinder this early in the game? I know some people say this game is tough, but I wasn't expecting this level of tough right out of the gate. Sure, we took out the surprise boss with only one casualty, but we shouldn't have taken any casualties there. Holy shit! And of course, we couldn't leave the tower without one more fight. A fight against zombies. I swear, I wasn't expecting this kind of crap this early on in the game. That's for sure. Well, at least we made it through that one, but we definitely need to get some healing soon, since I'd rather not go any further into any other possible danger zones when we have a man down. Specifically, the man who was wearing the most armor of anyone on the team. I'm not normally one who likes the idea of turning off random encounters, but can you blame me for doing so right now? Fresh out of our hometown, and we got absolutely mauled by a fire-breathing griffin out of nowhere. Credit where it's due, that's a good way to show that the world out here is dangerous. But it's to such an absolutely bullshit degree. Especially since the player's only just getting started, and it's not like there's any real difficulty settings around here. Well, at least we had that harsh lesson early enough that I should be cautious for the rest of the game. Still, that came without any kind of warning whatsoever. It's almost enough to make me wonder if the crystal made a very big mistake in giving these 4 powers instead of someone else. Though, yeah, a decent amount of blame has to go to me for exploring that tower in the first place, and not pulling out the moment I noticed that the monsters inside of it were far more dangerous than the goblins we had started off with. That should have been a pretty good warning sign that there was something off about the place. Well, we gained holy arrows in that tower, so may as well grab a bow to shoot the holy arrows with. In Final Fantasy IV, Rosa doubled as an archer and a white mage. Kinda weird that white mages can't hold bows at all in this game, but again, this game was made before Final Fantasy IV, and all the Final Fantasies seem to change things up in some way or another. Kind of understandable that it's not a one-to-one comparison by any means. I'm kind of curious if I should just change Carmine's class since all that armor isn't doing much for him. Seriously, it did not prevent him from getting taken down in a single hit, with no warning. Well, we gained a weapon that is only equipable by red mages, so I guess we may as well switch our warrior to a red mage. Or at least that's what I'm tempted to do. It's not like I have any idea of what would be a good or bad decision after all. Again, we only just started this game. We have no idea how the rules work. all we know is that my initial idea did not pan out the way I expected when I first designed classes. Anyway, I guess our white mage is gonna double as a physical combatant then. Still a bit on the fence what to do with Carmine since he went down so damn fast out of nowhere, but seriously, I was under the impression the warrior class was always a solid tank in every game in this franchise. Well, at least our offense numbers look good, or at least I hope they look good. Again, we're so damn early in the game, I have no clue what our expectations should be. Well, here's hoping that the other tower isn't gonna be as unforgiving as the first one. Okay, a bed and 3 chests. Sorry, already grabbed the holy arrows at the previous tower. Was I supposed to go to this tower before the other one or something? Great. 4 guys sleep in the bed of a princess they've never met before. Well, I'm sure they won't leave any especially rough stains on the sheets. I'm also sure they're gonna leave quite a bit of a stench there. Seriously, the vast majority of her kingdom has been turned into ghosts, and then 4 strange men decide to pile up under her sheets while she's gone? I'm not sure if this is probably the worst day in the princess's life, but it's gotta be somewhere within the bottom 3. Well, you can stand there and lament your fate. That's kind of a popular thing to do when disaster strikes. And hey, at least you have excuses why you aren't trying to do anything to fix the situation. Ghosts aren't exactly known for their ability to kick copious amounts of ass. Well, nice to know that when we enter a hidden path on the map, it reveals the hidden paths completely elsewhere in the area. We'll save going through that particular path for later, though. Yeah, we noticed. I'd prefer to save cure for healing our own people, thank you. We've got other means of offense. And of course, the princess is missing entirely. I swear it feels like this game is trying to lift as much as it can from the opening of Final Fantasy I with us having to find a bloody princess to start things off. Seriously. She is also named Sarah. And, not that there's really anything wrong with reusing that sort of thing. It's a cliche because it works so often. And it's not exactly a note-for-note rehash with how we saved Princess Sarah in the original game, but still, just because this game was supposed to be a return to form for the series, since the second game didn't land that well, they didn't have to go that close to form. Finally an offensive spell for our Black Mage, though I'm afraid that Blizzard isn't a great spell to use against the undead. Fire is generally the better option, but at least it's better than having our only Black Mage spell be Sleep. Okay, so the monk has more weapons to use than just nunchucks this time. Well, it's certainly not a surprise that Brett is going to be our hardest hitter for the foreseeable future. I just wasn't expecting any martial arts weapons outside of maybe clawed fists or nunchucks. I wonder what other martial arts gear we're going to see as the game goes on. Okay, so we've got a wellspring that we're not allowed to drink from for some reason. Wonder how that room is gonna be important later then. It's not like we'd see a room like that just for the sake of having a nice room. Hell, I can't think of any game out there that would do something like that, old or new. Right. We've probably seen everything there is to see at the castle. Still, there's no harm in making sure there's nothing else we've missed. This is the sort of game that loves to put various items into random corners and expects you to check everywhere after all. In terms of money, we look like we've got more than enough for our overall needs. But again, I am downright rattled by how that bloody griffin took down Carmine. That's definitely giving me the feeling that we've got to be very damn prepared for whatever comes next. Should I bother to ask why the princess sleeps in a tower on this side of the castle? Hell, why not sleep in the castle itself? This is, in fact, the opposite tower from the one that Cecile's room was in Final Fantasy IV. By the way, does anyone else find it funny that so many of the assets in Final Fantasy 1 and 3 ended up in 4? Sure, that probably saved time on developing the game, but still, I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up seeing those assets all the way until Final Fantasy VI, when the series did its final two-dimensional game. And of course, we won't see those assets if and when we get around to working on the remakes of Final Fantasy 3 and 4. And great, now I can't help thinking of the fact that plenty of people are clamoring for a remake of Final Fantasy VI. Personally, I wouldn't mind if Final Fantasy V got a remake, and good God, considering how much I don't like the draw system, but how much I do enjoy Final Fantasy VIII outside of that, yeah, that game definitely needs a lot of total love and care. Well, if nothing else, we can take out the standard enemies pretty damn fast. That's a good sign that we're doing, well, decently at least. Definitely nothing else for us to explore or re-explore in the castle. Hell, I probably overstayed my welcome just to grind up a bit. Okay, so we're running into werewolves before standard wolves, but we're taking them out pretty fast. A bit odd there, but I can roll with that. This seems as good a time as any to save. Still, there's only one place we can go to at the moment, or at least only one place I can find that we can enter. Yeah, pretty basic looking dungeon. The enemies might be bafflingly strong for this early in the game, but the maps and other factors seem appropriately easy for this stage of our adventure. Yeah, we're taking plenty of damage pretty fast in here, really giving me the impression that armor isn't as important as offensive ability in this version of the game. By the way, why is it these things are called a larva when they look like some kind of twisting cloud with an eye? Well, at least we've got a good amount of healing items, and we've got white magic in case we start to run low on supplies. Fingers crossed I'm not underprepared here. Am I just being too paranoid for 3 clips in? Lovely. Back attacks this early on when we're apparently painfully fragile. Well, you can't say that these guys are forgettable grunts considering how many times our health has gone down to the red, if not outright 0. Well, there's plenty of visual variety considering this is our only really the second dungeon. Seriously, I was expecting more zombies, like, in the tower, not mummies and skeleton warriors. There's a lot of variety here. And now Brett's been taken down. Son of a bitch. We are just way too easy to kill this early on by basic enemies. Or at least I think they're supposed to be basic. Okay, so the skeletons are about as terrible as our guys. Again, a bit disorienting considering all the other role-player games I'm familiar with. As heroes go, our protagonists in Final Fantasy III seem to have less plot armor and less of an advantage than I'm used to. Well, our stats are rising. That's worth something. Guess we'll be returning to town. Huh. So we've apparently got another cure spell when we need a way to revive someone on our team. Not a Phoenix down or anything like that. Anyway, yeah. I know we could use the singular one we've got, but I'd like more. Anyway, guess I'll be fast-forwarding since we're kind of stalled out on account of another damn casualty. Definitely not a promising sign that we're losing people this frequently in this game. Ah, well, at least we won't have to bother paying it in. Though this would probably be a much more miserable experience for me if I wasn't playing the Pixel Remaster version of the game. The ability to turn off random encounters just makes things a lot less harrowing when you need to suddenly retreat from a dungeon. Though that probably says more about how absolutely brutal the original game was at the start, instead of how good this version of the game is. Right. Back to the airship, then back to the patch of land just outside the dungeon to save. I should probably buy more supplies before trying again, though. Apparently nobody's selling any Phoenix Downs. I suppose that's somehow supposed to balance out how much cash we have for this early in the game. Right. Nothing new in here. Not sure why we'd bother to go back into the tavern, but hey, it's not like we wasted all that much time here. As a side note, I wish I could say that the generic-sounding background music was somehow improved by us fast-forwarding things here for a bit. But at least to my ears, it still feels pretty forgettable. Sorry, I'm not really enjoying the background music for towns.